How's it going, guys? And welcome back to Retrospect, your go-to retro gaming podcast. You're listening to episode 43. Today, we'll be attempting to uncover what makes a game underrated, and specifically more in the retro game space. Joining me on the mics, as always, we have the best Brandon in the biz, Brandon Saltalamacchia. What's up, dude?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Funnily enough, me and Jake, unsolicited, are in the kitchen. You know, my desk isn't functioning. You're moving house, so welcome to the kitchen episode.
Yeah, this is the kitchen podcast. We're going to be talking about all kinds of nice cookware you guys should have in your cabinets.
I don't think I have any gaming cookware.
I know
there is stuff, like plenty of Pokemon stuff that you could get, but
I got let's see here. I got a nice table plant. Look at that.
Oh, let's compare table plants.
Oh, that's a good table plant. Is yours real?
Yeah,
mine's fake too. Nice. Look at us. We're doing it, dude. We're doing it. I also noticed
kitchen folk.
You have a nice a hood back there, a vent hood for your stovetop or your cooking back there.
I want to move this, but I know we've had a bad history of moving my mics.
I see it. It's in frame. It's beautiful.
Yeah, typically like UK kitchens are quite small. You know, like I could probably like touch every like wall in the kitchen with my arm span, but you know, means things are closer. I guess got less moving.
I like that.
Don't know about kitchens in the US. Maybe I just watch like too much of like Selling Sunsets and stuff, where the kitchens are just crazy big in the US.
Well, they are. They like the I guess the more money you make too, obviously will impact how large your kitchen is here. But like we live in a 1,300 square foot house, which isn't that big. But our kitchen. So I'm in like the dining room sort of, or the table room, and then there's the actual kitchen behind or in front of me, and that has like a little L shape to it. But we don't have a fancy vent hood like you do. See, we just have like a janky stovetop with a microwave above it with a fan built into it, and that doesn't really do anything. Like it doesn't
where does all like the fumes go?
Exactly. It just pushes them into your house. And you're just like, sweet. Our whole house smells like broccoli now. This is great. Yeah. So
could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. Fish, you name it. But anyways, we are doing a podcast. As Brandon mentioned, we are currently without desks, but we will be hopefully back with desks next week, pending the sale of my house and the inspection. And your desk actually is able to be put together by yourself. It shouldn't be that hard, right?
No, I'm like I put the legs together. Now I'm just waiting for the top. But it's one of those smart stand-up desks, because I need to sort out my posture and stuff. So it can do things now.
These are the things you have to think about as a soon-to-be 31-year-old man. We were talking about gardening too. I mean, your back is you got to take care of that thing.
Not gonna last long, man. Yeah, like I can't even see 40. I see 40 in a wheelchair, man. Like this stuff's like. And we bought a small house, and I'm a fan of like natural plants. I like to keep the grass. Where here in the UK, typically homeowners will just like stone everything and put artificial grass down. But me being me, I'm like, no,
not you.
I need to get my worms and my birds. And now my back is, taking that toll.
Is that the exact reason you want grass? You want worms and birds?
Worms. I actually had too many worms the other day, and they like completely eradicated like 25% of our grass. And then the birds came and they just pooped everywhere. Like I've got too many worms and too many birds. Oh man,
that's not even a thing. Worms are good for soil. They're supposed to like dig through it and like help you out, but they were killing your grass. You said because you had
these
too
look
many
like
worms.
The worms out of Dune. Have you seen Dune? Like
yes.
big, like
the Shai Hulud
ride.
The Shai Hulud.
Yeah.
Oh no,
they were big, and you could go outside after it rained, and you could hear the worms like in the grass.
Ew.
I'm not even joking. And then in the morning, because I usually
terrifying.
have it really is. I usually have like a coffee, and I just kind of look out in my garden, and there's like maybe 15 tiny birds just going ham at the grass, and
you can just hear worms slurping around in the background.
Yeah, screaming like,
you're just sipping on your coffee.
It was actually
please send me a video of these worms.
I have, because I sent Kate, my partner, a video. I was like, something's happening in our garden. I feel like David Attenborough. I need to document it.
Here you can see we have these worms outside.
Yeah,
They're in their natural habitat being devoured by birds. It's
but I
disgusting.
understand. Like, if you want if you want a nice garden, like a natural garden, man, the maintenance on that, good
It
lord.
sucks,
I've got a
dude.
small
It
house.
sucks. Yeah, the house we're moving into has a bigger yard, but less landscaping, which will be nice.
Okay.
But a better yard that I'll have to actually mow. And apparently, this is nuts. This is great. The current homeowner of the home we're moving into, great guy. He mows the yards for two people next to him as well, because one's a recent divorcee and the other one's a widow. And so he's over there just like helping them out every single time he mows the lawn. And so I'm going to move in and they're going to expect me to mow the lawn now. So I'm just like, damn it.
Oh man, yeah.
So I have to take that mantle up, right? Like I can't not do it, or I can pay someone, I guess, to go over there.
If you did take that up, you'd be the legend. You know, you'd become that guy. But then it might just get out of control, and you're like every Sunday you're doing like 8 houses
for free. You know, it's not. I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid. I'm just being a nice guy. Too afraid to say no. All right. Well, I'll update
we should
you guys.
move into the retro side of things now.
Yeah, let's jump into underrated retro games. So this is a topic that is kind of hard to nail down because underrated is going to be, really different by the individual. But I do think it's fun to talk about these because there's a lot of games people probably missed or may have heard of that just didn't check out. And hopefully we'll talk about some today that are on your list. We've only picked like 2 or 3 to kind of run through, but I'm excited. But at the top, I did kind of want to get your take, Brandon. What do you think makes a game underrated?
So for me, it's probably like a game that doesn't get the attention it deserves, which can be due to like a couple of things. Maybe like the media not enjoying it and giving it low reviews, or like the marketing sector of the game just hasn't done a good enough job and hasn't got it the attention it deserves. It could be a great game, and there's many out there that are superb games, like all these indie games that are out there, but they just haven't got the marketing budget to get it into people's eyes. So I think there's 2 sides of it. So 1, it hasn't got good reviews, or 2, you haven't seen it.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those times, like kind of the same boat. Like it's something that misses the cultural zeitgeist for me. Like because something could be great, but either it gets overshadowed by something bigger, or it's just not unique enough to catch people's attention, and it kind of just goes away. Like a game like Call of Duty is always going to have mass appeal. That is probably actually more of an overrated example, but like anything that's like Call of Duty does super well. But then there's plenty of other like similar games that come out that are shooters that get undershadowed or like, just totally skipped because they don't do it as well as Call of Duty, So like there's that side, or like the score element, they score like a 7, maybe around there or under, and people just kind of skip it because they're like, well, if it's a 7, I probably shouldn't play it. And that's kind of, where I am too. But then an overrated game. This is something also that I think is important to help us sort of classify these titles. So overrated to me is something that like receives top of the line scores across the board, but actually doesn't have like much going for it, or like maybe just people like it because it does certain things well. But to me, like there's games like, I don't know if you've played Deathloop or if you heard about that game. It came out a few years ago. People loved it, like gave it like 9s and 10s and like were obsessed with it. And I did not like it at all. And I was just like, I think this is an overrated game. Like in terms of like what you can do here,
because it was one of the first PS5 games, right? It got a bit of hype and like everyone tested it and
like I think the aesthetic was cool. I think like the idea was interesting, but in terms of like it actually receiving like perfect scores, I was just like, this is not as like fun as I was expecting it to be. Like the AI was not very intelligent, and it just was like, it felt very like empty, and I don't know, just like for a next gen PS5 game, I was just like, all I'm doing is just running around, just killing things. Like I'm like, there's nothing in here to me that's like, wow, this is masterpiece, So we listed off some games, and I did this. I think I'm going to run mine through in like maybe most obscure to like most well known in terms of underrated retro games. And then Brandon, I'll let you go first, and you can kind of follow that order if you want to, or you can just kind of let it rip.
Most
So,
obscure. I don't think many people are going to know this one. There's a game called Lego Loco. It was on PC. It released in 1998, and it was one of my first ever gaming memories. Actually, my dad was lucky enough to be one of the first in the area with a PC. They were like
that's kind of
gray,
cool.
yellowy, big blocks, and like if the monitor fell on me, I would, I wouldn't be here right now.
You're done. You're toast.
It took forever to load up. It had Windows 95, so it made all the weird sounds. It took like 4 minutes to load up, so you could brew a coffee beforehand. The Lego Loco was like a city building game from the top down. You had like this magical hand as a cursor that would come down, and it could pick up people. They could pick up little minifigures, and I used to put them on the train tracks and stuff. But you build like schools,
sadistic bastard.
Towns. Yeah, as a kid, I was like, I'm gonna kill this little minifigure.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. I had nothing. But it kind of moved. It was the first time I moved from like a physical form game, Lego collecting, building, to a digital form on a PC. And my first ever experience kind of moving the mouse, WASD, moving stuff. And the game was super pixelated, super old school, it ran on Windows 95, but the process of like bringing a physical Lego game to digital was just perfect, because you could build schools, and if you built like 4 little schools next to each other, it would like evolve into a big like high school, and you could do the same with like train stations and stuff. If you are on your laptop now, like just Google Lego Loco. It's such a weird looking game, and you can just see from the image like the top down, like on desktop.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is
colorful.
Like straight up top down. Like there is no three-dimensional elements to this, really.
Super retro PC game.
Look at that artwork too. It's like neon green. Ooh, it hurts the eyes.
And the noises the minifigures make are weird. You pick them up and they're like, "Oh, dip-a-doo-doo-doo." You're like, what the hell? And you put them on the track. They're like, "You're near the doo." You're like, what is this? I still think I have dreams about it now.
I need to. Okay, I'm gonna make a little cut in this segment. I'm gonna try and find that sound so everyone can hear what you're talking about. That's your impression was great. I hope that it matches what it sounds like.
Oh god,
that is awesome.
It's just a great game, and like ever since I was a kid, I've loved Lego, and I still love Lego now. I actually bought the it's being delivered, the Lego Pac-Man cabinet that came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that looks awesome. I saw that.
They're just they're just Lego's just great. I don't know if it's more nostalgia that just keeps me buying stuff, or if it's their marketing.
It's a little bit of both, but I mean, the actual like tactile element of building all of their stuff really is like very impressive. Their kits that they build out or put out are so impressive.
Yeah.
I had my friend group was just chatting it up about Legos last night, and like a bunch of those old games. I'm trying to see, because he did a whole podcast by himself about like just Lego games, and I'm trying to see what they're talking about. Lego Island.
That's a good one.
A few other ones too. Lego Racers, of course. But yeah, I'll mention them. It's 11.5 minutes podcast. I'll shout them out, or I'll let them know that we talked about Legos too, so they can listen in.
Gotta love Legos. That's probably my most obscure one. What about you?
All right, so I got this weird one called Amazing Island for the GameCube back in, I think this is like 2000. Yeah, like a early 2000s game. Super weird. I don't even know how we found this game. I think it was one of those ones. I don't know if your GameStop ever had this, or your game store, but it was like a bargain bin where like they would just have a bunch of like games that weren't that good that they would just throw into this giant like crate, and you could just dig through it and try to find something that looked good. So, me and my brothers, we would go to the game store and be like, oh, okay, we have, how much money do you have? And we'd like pool our money together and try to buy a game. And, we had like $10 to $15 or something like that. So we're like, oh, okay, let's get Amazing Island. This looks awesome. And so we all pitched our money together and got this game. And so the best way to describe it is it's like Digimon meets Mario Party, but it's like, they're both so not even like connected. The best part about this, it's made by Sega, and it really has like that vibe, or maybe it's like, hold on, let me double check. I don't know if it's Sega or if that's Capcom. But you draw your characters. So you like draw the shapes, you make your monsters in the game.
In the game. So you're using like the analog stick to look.
Yes, exactly. So they give you a 2D plane, to like make the outline, and then it like flips it and like makes it 3D, and you can choose how like wide or like thin the shape is going to be. So you can make legs, body parts, head, and then you attach like eyes and different elements to it to make it like compete better in these games that it has to go through after you make it. So it's like very complex for actually what it was doing back in the GameCube days. Like you just were building all these weird.
Wasn't there a game like developed by EA that was very similar where you make your monsters? It's called like S'mores. It was
that sounds familiar.
It's like a huge EA game, and the people want to bring it back. Sorry that I've taken this off track.
No,
EA S'mores. It's definitely not S'mores.
EA S'mores. Yeah, so this was a definitely a Sega game, and it was multiplayer too. So you could I guess ideally build like multiple monsters and then compete against your friends with your monsters that you made essentially.
That's cool.
And like the music, I remember liking a lot. It was just like you spent almost all your time really in the monster builder, like the monster creator. But it's a great game. And right now, the only way to play it is on the original GameCube disc. And I think eBay, the first listing I saw, has it for $120.
Oh, is that with the box?
I don't even know. Yeah,
no returns. Disc only.
I would hope that that's boxed. Wow. Who knows?
That might be like a rare. We put up the rare GameCube games video recently. Well, this wasn't on there, but that's up there.
Well, somebody else is selling it for $30. I would hope that's more of the approach. And then with not working disc, $8. So the disc doesn't work, $8.
What the hell are you going to use that for? Just a piece of art or like a coaster?
Just a collector. I'm not going to play this. I have it. It doesn't work.
Oh, I don't know. To be fair, I can't think of any other like monster game where you design your own like pocket monster. Like Digimon, you can't design. Pokemon, you can't design. The game I was talking about was Spore. It came out in 2008, so a little later.
Spore. Yeah, this was 2004. But also, have you played Monster Rancher? Are you familiar with that franchise?
Monster Rancher.
Yeah, it was a lesser known anime and franchise, but that one you could actually it was a PS2 game. You could, and maybe other ones, I don't know, but you could put the game in, and then in their monster creator, if you wanted to like bring in a certain monster, you would put in like another disc. So you'd take the game disc out, and then you'd put in like a CD of like Blink-182, or you'd put in like a movie, like The Last Samurai, or whatever else. You'd throw it in there, and it would make a monster based on that disc. I don't know what
is this
data.
Called?
Monster Rancher. I forget which one it was, but you could make monsters with like just CDs you had in your house.
Dude, that is incredible.
Yeah. I'll find the game and I'll shoot you over the actual
first release 1997 Monster Rancher.
Mm-hmm. I think it may have been that one, but there was multiple.
It's got loads of like Monster Rancher Explorer in 2000. Oh man,
Brandon's like, I'm going down a rabbit hole after this.
That sounds like my jam, because as I mentioned in the previous podcast, I bought the e-card reader. I still have yet to play around with it, but I love the concept of things doing weird things to play things. Right up my jam.
This one definitely pulls in the things. The problem is now, do you even have CDs laying around? You don't have any CDs or ways to make these monsters, so that game probably doesn't work as well.
I don't actually have any CDs. We got rid of our DVDs, CDs now. I've got a couple of vinyls, but they won't work.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Please just fit in.
Yeah, come on. I just want to make a monster. That'd be awesome. All right, so what's your second game? Your second underrated game?
So the next two, they're not really underrated. I just love them so much that I want people to play them. And the next one is Dynamite Headdy for the Sega Mega Drive. It was an incredible game for the Genesis and Mega Drive, and it kind of like competed with Sonic. And that's why I think like maybe not a lot of people played it, because Sonic was just booming in that time. I think that was late 90s.
Yeah, I've
So
seen
people
this.
just
I have not played this or really like heard much about it. So this is I'm excited to hear you talk about this.
Cool. So I think it succeeded quite a lot in Europe rather than the US. I might be wrong there, but it was everywhere in the UK, and
Okay.
it was like an incredibly colorful game. It's a platformer. It has bright colors, incredible bosses, and it was a little more tricky than Sonic. Like it took you a few levels to get used to it, and I think that's where it lost a lot of players. You know, Sonic, you just press a button and you're like, whoa, I
We're
completed level
going.
1. I'm the best. Where Dynamite
Yeah.
Heady, like you use your head as like your weapon, but also to like climb up to different platforms, like biting stuff, swinging. And you can also get upgrades should you find like power ups and stuff. So your head can change into metal. You can have like multiple heads or fast heads
Bro.
and stuff. But it was just incredible, and the soundtrack was awesome. But it just didn't pop worldwide.
Yeah, it has all the makings of kind of Mario in like a traditional platformer. Like reading this, it's Hetty must overcome the king's army, which features the likes of Trouble Bruin, Bruin. That's apparently one of the people you face off against. But yeah, I love the idea of like grabbing powers and you like throw his head to like platform, or like you can throw it in
It's
any
a bit
direction.
like
to attack
Rayman.
people.
You know, Rayman's fists kind of like leave his body as like his head. So it took
His
like
whole head.
I think like the team behind it really took what worked well from all of the games that were out in the late 90s, from Mario to Rayman to Sonic, and just go, let's create something cool but a little bit more difficult, maybe to entice maybe the teenagers and stuff. But that's why I think it missed its mark. It was competing with Sonic, and it was just a little too hard for the first few levels.
Yep, just got overshadowed. Happens to the best of us. Happens to the best. Dang. Okay, Dynamite Heady. I'll have to check this out. I'll have it on my my RGX. I'm sure my RG35X. I'll check it out on there. See what's going on with that one. All right, up next for me, I have a game that people definitely have heard of, and it's one that I don't think enough people have played. So I'm throwing in Okami on here. Have you ever played Okami?
I played maybe like 2 minutes of it. I had, it was like, I think I was around someone's and I started playing like, this wolf is cool. And the art was always incredible.
Yes. That's, I feel like, most people's experience with Okami. I'm kind of preaching to the choir, because Okami is a game that I've played and put down so many times. It's one of those ones that you hear is good. You're like, okay, I should check this out. I should play this. Because everyone's like, oh, it's like Zelda. It's like a Zelda game, but you're playing as a wolf, and you have like a little watercolor brush, and you fight your enemies that way. And like the concept is genius, and it's intuitive. You can use your brush to also affect real things in the world. So you can like make a bridge appear with drawing something, and you can cut down trees with it. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do. But it really, I just don't feel like a lot of people have played this. And I know people have heard of it. People are like, oh yeah, I know Okami is supposed to be good, but no one actually makes the commitment to play Okami. Like,
what do you think that is?
I think it's the art style. I think it's the art style and the pacing. So people either hate that art style or they like it, because it's like a super thick watercolor art style, cell shaded looking game, kind of like the Wind Waker art style, but even like more exaggerated, more in that like traditional Japanese art style, like looking watercolor,
thick borders and stuff.
And then the like opening is slow. It is a very slow opener where like they're kind of just walking you through all this stuff on how to.
Is it colorful? Is it colorful at the start, or is it a little bit like?
It's a little bland too. It does look a little bit washed.
I think for like, especially like when I was a kid, I need something colorful. I need something like upbeat with some jazz music, and I need something that just chucks me in. And Dynamite Heady did that a bit too much, a bit too aggressively.
I got overwhelmed with that one, and this one I was underwhelmed.
Yeah.
But Okami, I mean, the music's so good, and the story really is like pretty decent. And I think once you get past the opening hour or two, I think you'll find a great game in there. And it's they re-released it on Switch. I bought it, and just like you, I think I only played through like maybe 2 hours of it, and I was like, all right, I'll go back to this eventually. And I haven't gone back to it yet. So I know it has that effect, because like I've played it, and it's just like I know that this is a good game, but I just don't really have it in me to go back and do this just right now. And so it's underrated or like just skipped over because I think it unfortunately falls into that trap of like people turn off too soon. You just give it a little bit more. I know that's a bad excuse for a good game. Like if a game's good, it'll hook you and you're in. But Okami's one of those ones that I just feel like a lot of folks should probably give a good shake. It was
made by Capcom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen like a couple of vinyls as well, like soundtrack vinyls. You know, if a video game has a vinyl out of its soundtrack, you know it's got a good soundtrack.
Exactly. And the reviews are good. Like people love this game. You know, it's got a 9 out of 10 on Steam right now. Like almost all the different sites give it like 9s or 10s. So people love it. It just, check it out. 2006, early PS2, or is it? Yeah, I think it was PS2 game.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, check it out. All right.
What about
you?
My last one, and ever since like we saw Casey a couple weeks back, he was obsessed with Tetris. And there's a magic in games that anyone with any gaming knowledge can pick up and play. And I think there's not enough of those in the world right now. But Tetris is one of them. And there's also like classic pinball games. But I wanted to go with Pokemon Pinball because it's like just and I think it was massive, and this is why people are going to be like, yo, dude, that's not underrated. Go play Lego Loco, you idiot. It definitely wasn't underrated.
Just like that.
Yeah, because it did get some pretty good reviews, but I think it lost the mark with most Pokemon fans because it wasn't an original Pokemon game. Everyone's like, can't really catch Pokemon even though you can. So Pokemon Pinball is just like a traditional pinball game where you start with the bottom set of the pinball machine, and then once your ball goes out of screen, it will flip to the top and vice versa. And you can collect like power-ups, and your goal is to catch a Pokemon in the middle and hit your ball into the catching section, and then you can go on to like even rarer Pokemon like Mew and Mewtwo and kind of complete your Pokedex in a pinball form factor. But the way you could just pick it up and play, you could give it to your mom, your nan, your kids, and they just know exactly what to do. Admittedly, when like the catching mechanism comes in, that gets a little tricky, but
it's a little confusing. Yeah. Your mom, your nan. Yeah, your nan. Just give it to her, see what she does. I mean, hey, it's pinball. A and B. All right. I think it's or no, it's left. It's the left D-pad and A, right?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And that's all you need.
That's all you need.
Just great. It's just great.
And you can play two versions. You can play the blue Pokeball or blue pinball, and you can play red pinball.
Yeah. So, yeah. And you can go through towns as well, that you're going into Pallet Town or Viridian Forest, so you kind of know what Pokemon's going to come up. It's always a bloody Caterpie or a Metapod. Just there like hard.
Caterpie.
Hard.
Caterpie. Have you seen... Are you familiar with King of the Hill? That cartoon,
the animation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Someone remade like a Pokemon version of that, and it's like Hank Hill as Ash, and he's like Butterfree, no, and he's having a Pokemon battle with Boomhauer, and at the very end, like he flips his Butterfree over, and it's his son's face. He's like, "I'm okay, Dad."
What the hell?
I'll also include that in the links, but that video cracks me up, dude. Sorry.
Oh, man. That sounds like right up my street as well. That's the kind of stuff that I just howl at.
It's so dumb. It's so stupid. All right. But yeah, Pokemon Pinball. Good shout.
They've also got a Ruby and Sapphire version on the Game Boy Advance as well, should you really like it. So it originally came out for the Game Boy Color.
I did not know that. Mm-hmm. I did not know we had Pokemon Pinball on GBA. Oh my!
It's meant to be just as good as well, and obviously you got Generation 3.
Yeah, dude. 3? People love this. This one's got some good reviews on here.
Yeah,
because see, Pokemon Pinball, the OG on Game Boy, it has like middle reviews, like 6s and 7s.
Yeah.
This one, the first review I saw gave it a 9.
And it 4.3. Had the Game Boy Color had the vibrating pack as well, so you really get to feel the full force of those balls smashing against Metapod. Hardened.
It was fun until like it kept bouncing against like the Pokemon or like on the little bumpers at the top, because it'd be like it would just like freak out. You're like, okay,
all the points.
Yeah, I'm gonna be rich. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great, man. Good shout. Pokemon Pinball. And then last on my list, this is gonna make some people mad. I took off another one that people were aware of, but Super Mario Sunshine. Okay, look, I know people have played this. I know
Oh
this
man,
is a
you're
game
gonna get some hate for this.
I know this is not an underrated game necessarily. Actually, no, I think it is an underrated game because people, I don't think appropriately rate this game. Okay, people hate Mario Sunshine in modern America. I don't know about how it is in the EU, but people don't like Mario Sunshine. They think it's just the worst Mario game, and I'm here to tell people that they're wrong. Okay, because Mario Sunshine's great and it has the best atmosphere of any Mario game. I know it's all tropical, but that's great. That's fine. It's consistent. You know that when you're there, you're in all these tropical locations. It's totally great. You have the freaking theme park. You got the freaking harbor you got to work at. You got Delfino Isle. I mean, that soundtrack alone is incredible, man.
Yeah.
And people really hate too much on the Delfino people. I don't. There's nothing wrong with those people. There's nothing wrong with them. You know, they're just there. They're having a good time. The piñatas or whatever their names are. They're having a great time. I'm just saying this game's not underrated. It's actually, I think, up there with the best in Mario platforming. And I think Flood was a great addition to the whole platforming mechanic. Being able to like shoot water ahead of you and slide on it to go fast, use it to like jet yourself up in the air or skirt across the water. I mean, come on. What more do you want out of a Mario game? You can't do that in other Mario games now, really. You know, you can do it with like the little Nessie little like thing you can jump on and scoot across the water on, but no one wants to do that. No one. They want a jetpack. They want a water jetpack called Flood that talks to you, and you want to just go on a tropical vacation in the Bahamas with Mario. Mario Sunshine is up there.
It's like a cleaning simulator in the Bahamas.
Exactly. And everyone loves Power Wash Simulator. You know, Mario Sunshine did it first. Okay, so quit hating. This game is definitely not bad. It is one of the best Mario games. If you haven't played it, you should definitely check it out.
What was that on again? What console? That was GameCube?
GameCube also. I kind of picked some games all from the same era.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird situation that happened there. That wasn't intentional. Games that were on top of my mind. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Mario Sunshine?
Yeah, I haven't put too many hours into it, but like you said, it's like fun to pick up. I played a little bit on it wasn't the remake, but they ported it over to
3D All Stars.
Yeah, 3D All Stars, which is actually quite hard to get hold of now. I didn't realize when they were selling that was an exclusive, like for like limited time they were selling it.
Yeah, it was a limited release. I don't know if they're still selling it or not. Nope. Looks like on Amazon, someone's trying to sell it for $100. So don't do
sealed or unsealed.
Let's see, region free version EU.
Might be sealed.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I missed that because the collector me was a bit disappointed. I should have bought a few copies, but yeah, like Nintendo don't often do that. Limited their releases, physical as well.
Yeah. They pulled a Disney on that one. They put it back in the vault. They're like, here it is, and it's going away. So yeah, I think you can still buy it digitally though. So I think if you want it digital, you should be able to buy it still. Mm-hmm. I hope.
What a cruel world, man! Like this whole digital only thing is really annoying me.
Oh wait, hold on. Ooh, it's all right. I don't think it's even on the eShop actually. Super Mario 3D All Stars leaves Nintendo eShop on March 31st. I think this was in 2021. What? Yeah. So.
Oh, dearie me. So how would you play that nowadays?
Yeah, I mean,
you got to be a sucker who pays $100 or emulation, baby.
I was going to say we can lead into this last topic. So yeah, like we talked about these games. So yeah, we're the best ways to play these, and so this is where Retro Dodo comes in, I guess. You know, especially for a lot of these lesser known titles, you ain't gonna find them anywhere else for less than $100.
People think I'm just like all in emulation, but I actually prefer playing like the old school way, physical cartridge, getting maybe a modded Game Boy, you know, brightening the screen. That's how I played Pokemon Pinball. Lego Loco, no chance, chaps. You ain't getting hold of that anymore. If you need like Windows 95, you need like to like side install that on a Windows computer, that's a goner. You know, you need to really go through some work if you want to play Lego Loco, and you got to be a little loco if you want to play it, because that game nowadays is pretty terrible. I just remember it being great. And what else?
I'm sure it sucks today.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
No.
But if you want to hear the derp, it's worth it.
Exactly, which you'll hear in this podcast. Likely, I'll have already edited this in by the time you're listening to it. Oh man. But yeah, I think
Dynamite Heady Mega Drive, you know, you can emulate that, and it's pretty cheap because it's not it was a super popular game, so there's plenty of cartridges out there. I've seen it for around about £15, so not too bad if you've got a Mega Drive or a Genesis sitting around.
Not one of those ones that's in high demand, you know. Dynamite Heady. People are like, yeah, I don't want that game. But for me, I think most of mine are available on modern platforms, actually. So Okami HD got a re-release recently on most modern consoles. I think it was like PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. You can play them all
very
in there.
modern.
So yeah, I would say just get the version on Switch. It's fine. And then I think Amazing Island, you're out of luck. You're not getting that one. And then Mario 3D All-Stars, I don't know, honestly. That one's going to be tough. That one's going to be kind of hard to find, to be honest, because not a lot of stuff can emulate GameCube games. And I saw recently where Nintendo shut down Dolphin, or is making some strides to shut down Dolphin. So I don't know what's happening on that front with more modern Nintendo stuff. But yeah, try to see if you can have a friend let you borrow their copy of 3D All-Stars so you can play it on a modern console. And quit hating, okay? Quit hating on Sunshine.
The like HD to like AV cable converters are pretty cheap nowadays as well. So in the GameCube, they made so many of them that they're not super expensive to get hold of. You know, for everything and probably the game, I reckon that you could probably get like $100, maybe.
Yeah, and at that point, I mean, $100 to get into a GameCube isn't too bad. I mean, I paid, I don't know, $150, $200 when it was brand new. And so yeah, I mean, you're still saving some cash on that used console, but not as much these days. Not as much, especially with the games.
Have you seen? Sorry to interrupt there. Someone messaged us, and they've built a GameCube Nano, a GameCube like that, like the size of like a Funky S, but it's actual like hardware. They're sending us one to review, and I don't believe it yet, but I'll have to let you know on that.
Be careful, dude. I'm kind of nervous. They're gonna you're gonna open that up and there's like anthrax inside of there or something like that.
Oh man, I've had a number of consoles come and just set fire, so this might be like third on the list.
Truly, I mean, is that true? You actually had some that just blew up. You're just like, this doesn't even work.
Oh yeah, I made a video on it ages ago. This back when I was in my old flats, like 3 years ago. It was like a handheld, but it was a GameCube hardware in a handheld. It was like just some crazy Etsy modder, and I turned it on and it was smoking. So wow, they just sent me a ticking time bomb.
Leave a review on his on his Etsy profile. Like, GameCube games were pretty cool, but the controller or the actual cartridge was not, or whatever. It started blowing up.
This handheld was fire.
Literally melted in my hands. I have third-degree burns. I'm at the hospital right now. That'd be so bad. All right. Well, hey, good stuff, man. Thanks for giving some of your underrated retro games. Folks, let us know what your underrated retro games are. We'd love to hear from you. And then closing it out, be sure to write into us at retrospect at retrododo.com. Just like Rootco did. I don't know if you saw these comments, but we had a fun conversation actually back and forth on our last episode about the Project Q for PlayStation's like handheld. And Rootco said $250 for the Q is not a sweet spot, because I think you had said $250 be the price for the sweet spot. He said, you can have a plethora of Android emulators devices with plenty of use cases except for just remote play. This is more like an accessory than a handheld. So $99 is a sweet spot. $70 for PS5 controllers split in two, and some display and battery in between. Sony produces displays, so it should be cheap for them. And so we kind of had a back and forth and kind of settled on like, you ain't getting this handheld for less than 200. I mean, like maybe 200. You could squeak it in. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that, because we had a fun conversation.
I agree with him that you can find Android handhelds that can do exactly the same as this for the same price, if not cheaper. But $99, nah, no chance. And I think people are gonna be like this. PlayStation are gonna release a very high quality handheld. Like Project Q is gonna be like super high quality. It's gonna be like any of their other Sony products. Super high quality, does exactly what it should do, and well. So for $99, you're just not going to get that. Just no chance.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I could see them squeaking this out at 200. I was like, but that's a big if, because I mean, a lot of handhelds right now struggle to do 1080 60. Like even the Steam Deck, I don't think is doing that. So it's just like, yeah.
If they did 200, like 199, I'd be very impressed. And it could drive sales to their PlayStation 5 console. Like if they were using that kind of marketing tactic.
Yeah,
I'd be very impressed.
Yeah, so we'll see. But Ruko, thanks for chiming in on the comments. That was a fun conversation. We'll see what happens with Sony down the line. Also, be sure to check out cardgamer.com. That's coming up pretty soon, you guys. When's like the official full on launch?
We haven't come up with a day, but like mid June. So I reckon between the 14th and the 21st is likely when we're going to launch. It's be about 50 posts on there and stuff. So yeah, you can see kind of what we're brewing.
A week and a half from now, the official launch is coming. So you can go there. You can follow them on socials at cardgamer.com on Twitter. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have this week. Again, let us know what your most underrated retro games are, and send them in to us by just commenting on the episodes or putting them in Spotify. Brandon, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Retro_Dodo or CardGamerCom, because we couldn't get the handle CardGamer.
Sorry, man. I'm so sorry, man.
Sucks.
People just squat on those handles. They just sit there and wait. Like,
the Retro Dodo one has been inactive for like 9 years. I'm like, I need that.
Please just let me have that. Yeah. One of the companies I worked at, we wanted it was like the actual name of the company, and somebody just had it, and they were like, "We'll sell it to you for $1 million."
$1 million, damn.
They were like, "No."
So they were active. They were active on it.
No, they're just squatting. They're just squatting on the domain. Just they purchased it, and they just keep the license going year round or whatever. But yeah, they weren't using it. They just wanted to sell it eventually. So we just bought a different domain and went about our day, and that worked totally fine. So it's a weird world out there. But yeah, for me, you can check me out on Twitters at bitblogist, BITBLOGGIST. And until then, y'all, we'll catch you in the next episode.